Thanks for having us here, and a pleasure. Good afternoon, everyone. Bhavesh, do you want to say hi before I start? You're on mute, Bhavesh.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
And do you want to say anything? Should I start off?
Yeah. So, thank you very much. We're proud to associate with Vinculum to bring this first ever omni-channel index. When we say index, it kind of deep dives into 8 different truths, which Venkat will definitely take it in the discussion forward. But what we want to actually bring out is, how prepared is the India omni-channel scenario? Where are the retailers and brands looking at their omni-channel play? And we've kind of done across 5 different areas of omni-channel play, right? From awareness to purchase to discovery, customer service, and loyalty. And hope we'll be able to get deeper insights during this discussion. And over to you, welcome.
Thank you, Bhavesh. So good afternoon, everyone again. So it's a privilege to be associated with the Images Group and getting the India Digital Index 2021 out to assess the readiness of omnichannel across brands and retailers. Let me spend a half a minute to look at what is happening in terms of the industry itself. Brands are selling across channels and fulfilling from multiple locations. So if you look at the boxes on the left, we are talking of sell channels. So I'm just setting the context for omnichannel. So if we take a brand can sell on their web store, a brand can sell on marketplaces, a brand can sell on social channels, and a brand can sell on own stores, franchisees, and multi-brand outlets. Historically, omnichannel used to cover only the web stores and the offline stores. Today, it extends to franchisees and it extends to online marketplaces. And marketplaces itself could be global marketplaces like Amazon, eBay. It could be regional ones like Flipkart, Snapdeal, etc., and also category-specific ones like Nair. So you're talking of multiple channels coming into play. So there are many challenges that brands and retailers face. Every touch point of a customer purchase is a channel. So we're talking of, you got to rethink the Kotler 4-piece in terms of the omnichannel context. So where should your product be? How do you make it discoverable? So your product has to be available wherever people shop. Every channel has to speak the brand ethos. So it is not as if online, I'm happy with certain revenues coming from online kind of thing. So the brand touches the customer across channels. How do you maintain the brand ethos? How do you make sure product data is consistent? It's not that there is good images on your website and the product page is not updated somewhere else, and the latest images are not there in some channels. How do you make sure that the brand talks to the customer across channels? Should price be consistent? The historical view is marketplaces are cheap and only people buy cheap. Is it true? Is it the only way? Can you actually discount it in certain channels and still maintain the brand promise? Can I promote a particular channel? All these are tough questions for the brand to answer. And whether it's a retailer, whether it's a distributor, and whether it's the brand themselves, these questions and the rules of the game have to be set up upfront. The real challenges, of course, begin post-purchase. Are there ratings out there which tell you how the customer perceives the product? Has the customer got her preference in terms of, or the flexibility in terms of payment options? Are they delighted with the purchase? Today, Amazon has set a gold standard online where the UI UX is something which customers have got used to. Every retailer, every brand has to create a similar high quality experience when people are shopping online. Do you have the skills to do it? Are you able to do it? Is the experience beautiful for people? And am I giving the flexibility? Can I buy online and pick it up from store? Can I go to a store, not find the product of my choice? Can I actually extend it? Is a sales associate able to give me the options so that I'm able to buy it from wherever the product is available? Okay, it could be a different store which is called reserve and collect. It could be sent to my residence or my office location, where essentially the sales associate is able to look at the entire product set and is able to close the sale. Are these options being given? Are you flexible enough to allow return in any location? Does it extend to franchisees? Number of questions. Technology is, does it support it? Even from an online perspective, returns is a problem. Are you able to manage it well? Is your GMV badly hit? Are you able to give delightful experience to customer in terms of express fast deliveries? Can you do it same day? Months. People like me, I shop whenever I don't find something in the night. I just go into Instamart and I just place an order for a few things which I need for the next morning or late night. So can you compete with that? How do you do it? That's an experience which is fantastic. So when I say Swiggy, I'm talking of Instamart here, right? So, or a Big Basket for that matter, or a Dunzo. And Flipkart is launching a Flipkart Quick in 15 minutes. So these are all very interesting trends in the market. This is a competition. Customers have myriad choices. How are you going to give an experience which is delightful? And how do you give the ethos which are consistent across channels? And at the same time, you do it profitably. That's the challenge in front of brands. That's the challenge in front of retailers. And of course, how many of you completely mine the customer data and know who is buying what is the behavior of the customer? A lot of this has changed post-COVID. A lot of this is in terms of customer categories, in terms of people who are buying online. The old rules are all down the bucket, really. Means so that's where we are, and it's a very interesting phase. And how nimble, how fast are you to adapt? And how are you going to make sure that you are able to reach the customers? And some of the other trends is store on wheels, where if the Muhammad can't go to the mountain goes to Muhammad. We've heard that line. So that's what is happening in terms of stores on wheels. So these are all interesting trends. How do you capitalize on them? There are many brands and retailers who are our customers. Obviously, we're a leader in the space, and we work with practically every part of the ecosystem. When I look at many of the players, they're attempting to go from a single-digit digital online revenues to something like 25 to 30% in phase one, and maybe more than that in phase two. So how do you actually capitalize on this opportunity? How do you scale your revenues? Those are some of the questions. How prepared are you? Okay, so the book and the index answers how prepared is the industry, and the book focuses on different aspects of how ready you are. Means I don't want to completely reveal everything. I want you to read it. But when you look, these are the questions which are answered in the book. Okay, so when you look at the industry, omnichannel implementations, how deep are they? They're only halfway. So when you look at most players, the range is quite vast, 11 to 90%. Some people are done, if you cover being completely omnichannel, as some of the pointers I spoke about, some people are just starting and some people are in an advanced stage. But by and large, the industry is at a 47%, where they're at least thinking, have started, have doing something. There's a long way to go. Then basics need a lot of attention. Get your product data clean, get your images clean, get your digital assets in a good place so that you can easily keep data consistent and push it into any channel of your choice. You don't want to be spending and creating content again and again. You need tools which can enable you to go into any channel of your choice, whether it is marketplaces, whether it's your web store, whether it's shop and shop or offline outlets. You need to be able to get your product data there very easily, and you need to keep it consistent and clean. So there are good modules available in the market, we being one of them. So this is something which you should be looking at. and display the product price and promotion. I mean, this is something which we are doing, but there is a lot of people in the industry don't publish reviews immediately. So that's something which we are seeing. Okay, and if we go further, the returns policy, there is almost 84% of the industry don't mention a return policy on the receipts. So think about the confusion and the friction you're causing to the customers. 84% of all purchases in the industry don't have the policy explicitly mentioned. Leads to a lot of confusion. More than the confusion, leads to discontentment. You don't want that. Tomorrow is too slow. When I say tomorrow is too slow, I'm talking of deliveries. So you don't want, if there is an option for immediate delivery, you should be able to give it. That's not an option given by most people. And the policies are not very customer centric in terms of returns. There is no exclusive pickup points. There is no prioritized delivery for loyal members for many of the people in the industry. We're talking of the interview which is done by Fidgets has been done across 250 plus brands and retailers. So it's a good number in the market. So when you look at these percentages are not very customer centric. And again, very interestingly, there are no incentives for program signups. Many people don't offer a loyalty program. So these are, and this makes it, you're wasting a gold mine. You have to mine your customer data. Click and collect and other features like I spoke, reserve and collect, return anywhere, close the sale, endless aisle, store on wheels. All of these are, means in terms of information and in terms of lapping on the opportunity, it's not very high in the industry. And 35% don't offer click and collect. The product page doesn't talk about it, and even if it does, you don't have flexibility in terms of payment options. So no wonder that those numbers, there is a lot left on the table in terms of what you can do. And make sure product information is very clearly mentioned in terms of policies, in terms of the quality of content. So I touched upon this already. I'm not going to talk about each of these. Please read the book. And without much ado, I'll then move into introducing. We got a high panel here. Wish, I'm going to request you to introduce, if you don't mind, and usher in the people. Okay. Do you want to add to anything I said, Bhavesh?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you, Venkat. It's been, last 1.5, 2 months of great deep learning of the India omnichannel scenario, which what Venkat presented. This is the first report ever being got in the Indian retail industry. Like I said earlier, the idea was to understand, the word around omnichannel has been hyped so much in the last 5-6 years. And I know a lot of brands have been working towards that journey of making it 100% omnichannel. Quite a few brands from our research have done a lot of work in this area, and not taking any names here, but many of them have worked really hard. Omnichannel is a long drawn process. How soon, how early, it all depends on the mindset of the organization and how do we want to make this happen. And it's very much essential in today's world when everybody is digitally connected to get into this path. And we are happy as Images Group, we are happy to kind of launch this along with Vinculum. Vinculum has been the foremost enabler of omnichannel play in India with, I think, more than what we've covered in this book, the kind of solutions they've been offering to various brands. Happy to partner with Vinculum and bring out more such additions in future. Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you very much. And it's a privilege to work with Images Group and Fidgets. And so let's call in the panelists. I think 2 of the panelists will join a little bit later. But let me first call in. Sorry, Bhavesh, you were saying something?
I said, let's start the discussion on this.
We'll start. Yeah. So let me usher in first Mr. Ranjan Sharma, who is the CIO and Head of Supply Chain, Captive E-commerce and Quality Assurance for Bestseller. Mr. Ranjan, you can unmute yourself and just say hi. It's a privilege to have you on the panel.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Venkat, for welcoming in.
Hi, Ranjan. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining in. And we have Mr. Satish Panchapakesan, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Arvind Fashions. Mr. Satish.
Hello, Venkat. Thanks for having me on the session. I look forward to some interesting discussions.
Privilege to have you here, sir. Thank you for joining in. And Anil and Sunil will be joining us later. Is that correct? So we'll first start off with Mr. Ranjan and Mr. Satish. Mr. Satish, I'm going to go first. We're going to just do a quick round of introductions, if that's okay. You could go first in terms of explaining about yourself, your background, and also in terms of Arvind Fashions. You could just briefly cover. Means not that anyone doesn't know Bestseller or Arvind Fashions, but I'm just saying, give us a ringside view of where you are and what are the next plans, kind of thing, right? At least it sets the context.
Sure. So thanks, Venkat, and Images Group, for having having me on this panel discussion. I think it's really been an exciting time over the past 20 months, pretty much the time I've been with Arvind Fashions, where we've really, reimagined and, restarted in many ways and reset in many ways, our whole, brand journey, our customer journey, as well as, our people journey, right? So, every aspect of the enterprise has been touched, through the pandemic over the last 18 odd months. Pretty much the time that I've spent in the company, before which I spent about 20 odd years in the consulting industry, and then before which I started my career with Unilever, right? So that's in a sense, what really has taken us to this point is something which is going to be, I would say, pivotal to what we will do, in the next few years to come. So in terms of a broader strategy, we have, focused a high conviction brand strategy over the next few years, where we are going to rejuvenate our growth on certain portfolio of brands, which are essentially, the best in the market, the leaders in the market, as well as profitable for us as an enterprise. And then we have significantly, scaled up our commerce operations through the pandemic, be it the lockdown 1 or lockdown 2. So from what it used to be typically, low to mid single digit prior to the pandemic, we are now clocking somewhere in the 35 to 36%, as we reported in our Q1 report, in May this year, and so I think, sorry, in July this year. So it's a significant step up from where we were as far as the Omni play is concerned, and happy to share the rest of the details as part of the conversation.
Awesome. So I actually pegged the number lower than what you're saying, sir. I said 30%. So you're already at 36%. But phase 2, definitely people are attempting 50 to 60%. So you're obviously one of the 4 leaders there in terms of moving it. It'll be
Very
interesting
likely.
to see how things will happen there.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
And Mr. Ranjan, likewise, if you can just explain, your journey so far and what you're doing in Bestseller, and how has been the pandemic to Bestseller? What have you been able to transform?
Hey, thanks, Venkat. And I think once again, I wish to say a good afternoon to everyone. And I think it's been a pleasure for me to be back on this panel. And I think I've been on many panels for Images, and really appreciate that they keep getting me back onto their panels,
We like to listen to you, sir. That's the point.
Yeah, giving a background to what bestseller is, many people who would not know about bestseller, we have a bunch of brands that we own. We are a Danish fashion retailer across multiple countries across the globe, and in India we've been almost there for about 12 odd years, and we have some interesting and fascinating brands with the
Right.
names of Jack and Jones, Vero, Moda, Only, and Selected are four key brands that we have in the market. We are launching a few more brands as we go, and we've already launched one more brand earlier this year, and we are adding a few more brands subsequently as well. So we are primarily a fashion retailer with a lot of stores of our own, some franchisee stores across different marketplaces, across large departmental stores. So more than available, more than in around more than 100 odd cities is where we are physically available. And going beyond that, we are available with the likes of Myntra, Flipkart, Amazon, Agio, and also a very, very strong uh, push from our own e-commerce, from our own brand stores, uh, which is growing almost at 100% year on year for the last about 3 years, and we intend to keep it doing the same way. And omnichannel in the last couple of years is something which has shaped up very, very differently. Though omnichannel has been talked about for a lot many more years, and at one point of time we started feeling that it's more of an abused word than anything else. But now we suddenly start realizing that yes, there exactly, or there really is a play for overall omni-channel, and retailers and brands are moving in the right direction along with the customers who are also keen, because they're more than happy to move seamlessly across different channels, and not be restricted to a specific channel, and engage in different ways. And though it might not be a very seamless journey for many of us in the omni channel play, but still customers have been really, really patient enough to be able to explore across the channels and see the benefits as we keep learning and evolving around it.
Fantastic. No, that's awesome. And also 100% year on year on brand stores is like superb. Fantastic. Congratulations, sir, for that beautiful performance. Now, and most of you know me, Venkat. I spoke a little bit, founder, CEO of Vinculum. We're a software player in omnichannel retailing. So we work with both with traditional brands and D2C brands, just for an introduction. And we also are creating an ecosystem across countries so that brands can easily scale internationally as well, using both the platform and the ecosystem. Now, when we come here, let's start with some very basics. And yeah, please feel free. So, Mr. Satish and Mr. Ranjan, either of you, please jump in and answer. From your definitions, right? Omnichannel includes marketplaces in terms of experience.
Yes, it does.
Same with you, Satish?
It does, yeah.
Okay, basic questions, right? Okay, so we are seeing D2C brands disrupting companies and brands across categories. So what are your thoughts about D2C brands in the fashion space? Both of you are primarily in fashion, so I'll stick to that for now till of course, means even when Sunil comes, it's a different area of fashion, but still, means let's look at what you are seeing. Means D2C brands are disrupting the space. There are the likes of Mama Earth who are coming and scaling business in a big way. Now, are they competition? How do you differentiate yourself, or you don't care? Means there is a big play for everyone. What are your thoughts?
Maybe I'll start with this, and then Satish can keep adding that. Right. I think yes, it's become a fascinating journey for a lot of D2C players, and a lot of D2C brands are getting established as we speak. Especially in the last couple of years, or last 2 to 3 years, is what we've seen, especially in the fashion space. But I think we still are very, very happy in the way how we have been performing in our offline stores, as well as taking our brands digital and giving a seamless journey. Because I think what is also important is to re-establish and re-emphasize the brands into the minds of the consumers, be always at the top of the mind, and not bring in the consumers into the D2C space primarily from a price perspective, but also the brand experience perspective. And we very, very strongly feel as Bestseller that the real experience for a customer when he wants to buy a fashion is there in the stores. No matter what we do, no matter what kind of technologies we bring into the e-commerce space, the experience and the personalization that one gets into a store is at a very, very next level. It's very difficult to meet that same experience, brand experience in an e-commerce space, whether you talk about somebody being able to tailor tailor a collection for you, or be able to guide you in terms of what kind of products will look good on you, help you in terms of taking a decision basis your past purchase behavior, basis whatever you have bought in the past or whatever you have looked from your taste perspective, you being able to try out in the store and be able to figure out how it works. From there on, to be able to carry it back home as soon as you've checked out from that store. E-commerce definitely has some amount of disadvantage, or digital business still has some amount of disadvantage, which is being covered up in many ways. It's not as if that you can't help the customer in the e-commerce journey or in the digital commerce journey. It is being done in some sense and shape and form. But it still does not meet the expectation that is done at a storefront. From a trial perspective, yes, trials can happen. A virtual trial can happen even on a website. But it's still the biggest piece which is still lacking is the moment you place the order, how could you get the product immediately and take it home and wear for a party? That was a big a piece that we still need to keep working upon. Yes, we do deliver in a few hours, but still those few hours are some distance away. So I think obviously that experience is something which is where the customers still aspire for in any part of the globe, and physical retail is not just about going and shopping. It is more of a going together with your family, your friends, for many more things, and as an event rather than just about shopping.
So what you're saying is immediate delivery. If you solve, that is when your e-commerce can even compete. So
Not
this is
really. Not really, Venkat. So there are many more things that you need to meet up. How do you bring in that personalized, no matter what technology you bring in, but that personalized experience, a personalized guidance from a person saying, hey, looks good on you. And this is the color that you should wear, or this is a fit that you should wear. This is what you should pair with it. Yes, technology is there. Technology is getting there, or in some shape and form, it's there. Those also needs to be solved. That seamless experience of being able to try it out throughout your journey and be able to carry that product with you when you're going back. I think those are some of the problems that still needs to be solved in an e-commerce space.
Okay, no, that's interesting. No, I agree with most of what you said. So in terms of tryouts, in terms of the experience of aided by, in terms of immediate delivery. So yeah, man, let's hear more. Let's hear from Satish what he feels. Do you want to add anything to what we heard
Absolutely.
just now?
I think if you look at fashion and apparels, what the Omni used to play as potentially yet another channel where it's an outcome of a markdown strategy or a pricing strategy that you actually use it as a medium to distribute and make up for some of the true ups and inventory true ups and kind of level out and load balance the inventory. I think that used to be the mindset typically, right? Even I would say for a good part of pre-pandemic and probably even through the pandemic. But I think now brands are getting more and more recognized for being an online only product, right? I think it started with electronics, it started with mobile phones, it started with a lot of exclusives that came out of primarily in the mobile phone space. But I think that mindset is soon shifting into fashion and apparel as well. and it's being branded, it's being sold that way, right, as a kind of a strategic marketing unit, which will not be available elsewhere. It will just be available on this site, right, and nowhere else, right? I think in this direction, if you look at Arvind, Flipkart, for instance, invested close to about 270 crores last year to get exclusive marketing rights on our Flying Machine brand, right? So that's actually one example of the fact that as an industry, as an organization, how we're kind of leading the way to to look at fashion as not a markdown opportunity for a omni play, but actually for a pure play opportunity in omni, right? So that's point number one. Now, point number two is fashion is typically very seasonal in nature, right? Very so we have broadly two broad ranges, right? So you have the core, which pretty much runs through the year, and then you have the fashion, which runs through seasons, right? I think what's happening is your ability to actually take seasonal replenishes, through the online marketplace is going to be much more accelerated, because core is something which we were already good at, because the replenishments are fairly straightforward in terms of the rate of sale versus what type of projections you have in the market, and what type of demand you can forecast, and how accurately you can get the core. You could actually do a pretty good job there. Now the whole concept is actually getting shifted to seasons, and here we are talking about seasons not in the old context of maybe a 6-month season or something like that, but can we really shrink it down to say a 4-week, 6-week kind of a season, right? Where we look at some specials, and then we kind of have the platform and the fabric engineering going behind it as technology develops, so that we are able to be far more fast, a lot more agile in our supply chains, to either decide that you need to continue for another 4-6 weeks, or you kind of retire the product and you go to the next lease of the product life cycle. So I think both these opportunities, right, both the online for online opportunity as well as exploiting the season, right, both these are actually taking a good amount of convergence in the fashion space. And I think some of the directions that we've worked as an organization, also allude to that. And, the Flipkart investment being, one of the big ones.
Brilliant. No, that's fascinating to hear. And so would you say brands should launch special D2C brands separately, or should they have a hybrid model for their existing brands? What is your view on that? It's a question which a lot of the houses are grappling about. Practically every customer of mine is asking that question. Should I launch a separate brand for online and do it pure D2C, or should I do a hybrid? Certain ranges on a D2C basis and certain ranges through my stores, and certain ranges through online. What is your thoughts on that?
You want to go ahead, Ranjan?
Yeah.
Please. It's a logical continuation to your answer.
I think, as I mentioned, for something like a core, right? For instance, a white shirt or a blue stripe, pinstripe shirt, or a kind of a polka dot t-shirt, or or a standard denim. I think which is pretty much part of a core franchise, right? We wouldn't make too much of a differentiation, but for some parity with respect to the freshness of the product, so on and so forth, which is what you will get to see, online. But when it comes to, I'm not saying we don't sell. Basically, we don't want to discount online either, right? I think that's not what our brands represent, because these are pretty international brands, with a lot of value proposition.
Pricing will be consistent across channels.
The pricing will be consistent across channels, yeah. But as far as the fashion is concerned, right? This is where we have a lot of I mean, for instance, we have the IPL going on now, right? Who knew that this IPL is actually going to be broken into 2 halves, right? The May version and the September or the October version, right? So this is
be having this all through the year now.
we seem to be having IPL throughout the year, right? So how do you, I mean, so this is actually a great marketing opportunity for us to see, what are those kind of, products which will actually resonate, even in a short span of 4 to 6 weeks. And then, I can actually revisit the whole thing when the version 2 or version 3 happens, right? So I think, it's, there is, to be honest, Venkat, there is no, I mean, I'm not a merchandiser first, so I will not have the most clinical answer, but I can actually give you a more systemic answer, right? Because being part of technology and being part of function which needs to support sourcing and which needs to support a whole lot of distribution and content around catalogs and stuff like that. I would say that I would rather gear my entire engineering and technology around ensuring that we are able to deliver to those type of agilities, given that directionally we want to get into a replenish and a kill kind of a style code cycle, really shrink the half life of a product cycle to literally half or quarter of where they were, and then how much of technology can actually help starting from a yarn to fabric to platforming of those all the way to the distribution, right? I think that's where directionally we're kind of looking at various options, moving into technologies which are fairly headless, so that we don't have one single value chain contained by one aspect of the system or a process, which is kind of choking the all the allied systems, and and then overall productivity and life cycle kind of gets dragged beyond what we have to respond to business from a technology perspective. So I think these are definitely art of the possible. I think one is preparing the process capability, the system capability, which is where a lot of focus is. I think once we have that platform ready, I think it's an opera that we can perform, right, in whichever way we want.
Just on a point, so that the audience doesn't get mixed up, you used the word headless. Can you explain what is headless for everybody?
Oh, sure. I think when I say headless, it's basically not a monolithic ERP, right, which kind of does a.
Thank you, Satish. I know the answer. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure that people were clear, because what you said was so interesting. But yeah, some of these words not everybody picks up, right? So, do you want to add anything to that, Ranjan, in terms of just that question? Do you think brands will go with separate products for online only products, or would you adopt hybrid business models, or you think it'll all emerge into across channels and across business models?
So I think it's always going to remain a hybrid, which is where from my perspective, or the way how we work today as different brands, we work more in a hybrid fashion, where there could be certain ranges that we might be introducing in certain channels, which could be very, very specific to those channels. We might also end up introducing a few brands which could be for some specific channels. Nothing stops us from doing it if there is a business opportunity which exists. But I think overall, what will happen is, or the way how it is all evolving towards is, it could also be that we could be testing out the market in certain channels with certain product ranges, certain product categories, certain product trends that we might be spotting very early, trying it out in a market and then taking it to the mass scale. That could be one possibility. It could also be about being able to create a model where you are able to launch a brand for a specific channel, which might not be really a part of your value chain or your value proposition, where you would want to take it. So maybe we launch a brand which is which is only there for an online or an e-commerce or a digital business, rather than going and opening up stores for it. Or maybe we could create a brand where we start with an omnichannel or an e-commerce space, and then take it to our stores once we have established the brand. Because what we also need to be very, very aware of is, any brand that you create, there is also a lot of trust factor that you need to create with the consumer. The customer needs to resonate that brand. They need to identify themselves with the brand. It's not about saying that they need to be loyal to the brand, because in fashion space, I really don't say, I don't know what loyalty means. No customer is going to stick to a brand for sure until and unless you keep delivering value day in and day out. But then uh, the customer being able to identify that brand in terms of the products, in terms of the trust, in terms of the fabric, in terms of the sizing, the material, everything that is going to come back to them from whichever channel they buy from, so that they don't need to worry in terms of the fit, they don't need to worry in terms of the sizing and all of that.
And if you make it available across channels, you would keep price consistent, just like what Satish said. Or how do you people think?
Price consistency is a very, very difficult aspect in today's world, Venkat, with different channels having their own peaks and imagine.
So you promote channels, but by and large, that's how you would approach it.
No, so by and large, there is only one thing that is going to be consistent across all channels is the MRP and not the selling price, because different channels will have their own events, and each event might have different demands basis which the pricing
So
could
you
be
want,
different,
you
and
want
that's a
customers
possibility.
to shop across channels for you and find what they like. Got it. No, I'm just trying to understand. Okay, so
Yeah.
means there's not a single strategy for everyone, right? I'm just trying to cover the 4 Ps. That's all I'm trying
No.
to
So
do.
the ideal scenario would have been having the price consistency as you talk about, but then the different needs of different channels could be different at different stages, and it is each of them have their own nuances.
And do you offer endless aisle in your stores? In
Yeah.
terms of you offer endless aisle in your stores, okay?
Yes.
And obviously, I would think, so Satish, the answer is yes for that from your side also.
Sorry, there was a bit of a blip in the voice. Can you come back, Venkat?
No, I'm just saying, do you offer endless aisle as a service in your stores? Do you allow customers to look at your catalog and buy even if a
yes.
product is not there in the store?
Absolutely. So endless aisles is very, integral to, the showrooming aspect within the store, because we always think that, there is, though our, exclusive outlets have a standard, size fit ratio, which most of them as avid shoppers would know what size fit actually they belong to. But sometimes, giving that opportunity to do to do a little more, mining of the depth, and then that's where endless aisles really help, and that's integral to our stores.
Awesome. So, and do you at this point in your stores offer click and collect in terms of buying online and picking up from the store or having it shipped from the store? Is that a feature enabled already? Do you see? So
Absolutely.
Go for it. And do you want to touch on some of the flexibilities and conveniences that you're offering on the omnichannel journey?
Yeah, sure. See, let's look at it this way, right? We have close to about 850 plus exclusive and franchise outlets, right? So essentially, our inventory is out there in the field, right? It's not stocked up in the warehouse, right? So just from a fulfillment perspective, our tech stack and our process is really wired to fulfill a vast majority of the orders from the store, right? Having said that, we do have significant third-party capability which work as a back-to-back platform with our own warehouses where we have flexibility to move in and move out stocks physically at basis some of the rush orders and basis some of the EOSs or any other special activities or events that happen in the market, right? So we prudently use the combination of both, but given that our inventory is out there spread across the 800 plus stores that we have, store fulfillment is a very integral part of our whole e-commerce fulfillment strategy.
And this means technology, this means training for the people on the ground. This also means training the logistics players and employees in the warehouses. So how easy or tough was the journey, and what maybe if you were to spend 30 seconds to explain what you did?
I think the most important thing is the incentive for the store to actually, do this for the omni-channel, right? Because they're going to spend their, vital time in not probably, of course, during the pandemic, it's a different scenario, but pre-pandemic and, coming hopefully the normal days, it's going to take a significant amount of, the store associate bandwidth to just ensure that, they give the due attention for the store fulfillment, and incentivizing them in terms of, sales numbers and all of that is equally important. Apart from the softer aspects that you mentioned, right? Training and enablement through technology, so on and so forth.
Very fascinating, because when we looked at it, I'm talking of a slightly different journey. Post-COVID, we kind of created a dashboard with ability to create incentives and show what money people have made across even the franchisees. That increased adoption for some of our customers. So, which is exactly what you're talking about. So it's quite fascinating. So, Ranjan, we don't have time, so I'm going to ask you to have the final word. If there are 3 learnings that you're going to tell people who are in various stages of omnichannel, what should they do?
I think the first thing, very, very important aspect of running omnichannel is bringing your store employees into this journey, which is breaking the barrier that the sale doesn't belong to them. At the end of the day, the store belongs to the organization or the brand. And many a times that's the biggest barrier, which Satish said, by incentivizing them, you actually bring them on board in terms of saying how would they need to and why would they need to fulfill that. What do they get out of it? The second important aspect is about we all have different systems at different maturity levels sitting there, and multiple systems actually come together to be able to deliver this journey. I think we'll have to have that patience to be able to bring them seamlessly and walk through them, be able to visualize the overall journey for our customer, and not jump upon trying to do everything at the same time, because it is a journey. Everything cannot be done overnight. I think we've all learned the hard way, and we're still learning it. We've not perfected this art. We're still into that journey. And the third important aspect is the whole of the content and the catalog management. That's the biggest task. The speed at which you will be able to list your products, be able to catalog, and the kind of content that you will be able to create. Be rest assured that this content is not just being leveraged by the customer alone. This content is also being leveraged by the store employees for different purposes. The image shots that you do, or the stylized shots, that especially we do stylized shots, a lot of stylized shots for our products. Those stylized shots, you might be surprised the way how your stores might be using those stylized shots to be able to cross-sell and upsell in the store physically to the consumer.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. In fact, the listing aspect of it, Arvind, we are privileged to have them use our solution, but I still would like one more word there from Satish. Anything more than these 3 points? One last learning for everyone, and we close.
No, I think you will have to make your inventory discoverable, right? I think that's the most important thing. Because end of the day, absolutely, everything that Ranjan mentioned is spot on. But if you have, at least in the context of Indian distribution and trade and exclusive channel outlets and online and liquidation and whatnot, right? If you don't have a system which does an inventory discoverability down to the point of finding out its age, finding out what the potential pricing and markdown profile would be. I think we would have probably done 2 or 3 wrong decisions, right? So either you had a wrong ATP, or you sold a product at a significant discount, or you sold a product at probably a wrong price, right? In which case anyway you lose the customer trust. So I think triangulating the location of the inventory, triangulating it with the age of the inventory and corresponding COGS and the price, would be absolutely important to actually make this really work.
Thank you. I've got to stop, unfortunately. I can keep going, but thank you for both you gentlemen sharing your insights. So those were the 4 things. How do you list your products and make it easy and use it across channels? How do you make your inventory discoverable? How do you manage different systems and make them seamless? And how do you bring store employees into the journey? Those were the 4 points which the experts identified. Thank you for having me here, Bhavesh. Back to you.
Thank you, Venkat. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Ranjan.
Venkat. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Satish.